Hey everyone, this is Mark Stevenson from ColDesi, and today I'm glad you're here because I get to kind of compare and contrast my two favorite direct-to-garment printers. It's a DTG M2 and the brand new G4 from ColDesi as well. So there are several things in common between the printers. Of course, they're both direct-to-garment printers. What does that mean? That means you actually put a t-shirt into each machine and ink sprays down onto the shirt to make an image. So that's direct-to-garment. They both use a Platen system, which is the board or the device that rolls your blank t-shirt into the printer. They both use pigment inks, and what that means is it's a water-based ink, so they're very environmentally friendly, and they both produce just amazing quality prints. And one thing that DTG does better than anybody else is you'll notice the kind of smoke effect on the outside of the designs, the fine lines and the bright colors. That is direct-to-garment printing gold. So both printers will do that. In just a minute, I'm going to talk about the differences between the two to help you maybe decide which one is going to be better for your business. All right, so the best things about the DTG M2, it is one of my favorite printers, is it's got a very low cost per print. So for example, if you're comparing it to the G4, you'll probably save 25 to 35 cents per print on the M2. It's also got the ability to print two shirts at once with these removable Platens. So it's really good for production because you can have multiple Platens. Once a shirt is printed, you just take the Platen off, put another one on, and keep your production run going. You can also see how big this is, how big these two Platens are together. You can actually print about 2 feet long with the M2. It's 16.5 inches by 24 inches, as opposed to 16 by 20 with the G4. So we've got a lower cost per print. You can print two shirts at once, and you've got a larger print size. Those are the big advantages, not just over the G4, but to most DTG printers on the market for the DTG M2. All right, now we're going to talk about the advantages of the DTG G4 printer. Now I'm going to compare it to the DTG M2 printer, but the same things apply to almost every other direct-to-garment printer on the market. There are some things that really make this one stand out. And the first one is going to be the vacuum Platen. If you'll notice, there's no rubber ring around this one like there was on the M2. On most direct-to-garment printers, it uses a tucking system. So you put the shirt on and you kind of tuck it in like you're putting it to bed before it goes into the printer, right? So with the G4, it's got a brand new patented vacuum Platen that does some amazing things. First of all, it cuts down your hooping time from 15 or 20 seconds or more per shirt to just 5 seconds, because all I really have to do is lay it down. And you'll see, you can hear, I hope, the vacuum that is actually sucking the shirt onto the Platen. So you load a blank shirt just that quickly, and then when it's done printing, you take it off the same way. So that is a big boost for production time. So the vacuum Platen also has some other properties. Because that vacuum stays on when it goes into the printer, it sucks the ink down into the shirt. That means there's less ink floating around inside the printer. This has a remarkable effect on the maintenance requirements for the G4. Most direct-to-garment printers like the M2, what you have to do every day when you come in, you do a 5 or 10 minute maintenance procedure, and then before you shut down at the end of the day, you do the same thing. That's completely unnecessary with the G4. It has automatic maintenance that happens after 5 or 6 hours of non-use. And you only have to do the larger maintenance, that 5 or 10 or 15 minute procedure, every 30 days or so. So you can actually leave this printer sit for 30 days without printing anything and without doing any maintenance, as long as it's still plugged in. Boy, that is a huge no-no on the rest of today's direct-to-garment printers. So the G4 is way ahead of the game as far as that goes, and the vacuum Platen is good for production speed and to reduce maintenance. Now the interface for the G4 is also significantly different than the M2 and other printers on the market. You see a control panel here, and what I can do here is, instead of having to pull up a shirt in the RIP software and then print a shirt on the M2 or print two shirts on the M2, what I can do is I can send a file over to here, and it's stored with the picture of it, up to 20 images on a full color touchscreen control panel. Now, with the USB drive with all my designs on it, and with my top 20 loaded up on the control panel, I no longer need the computer. I can actually take this on the road or put it in a kiosk. When I want to print, I simply push buttons on the control panel, pull it up, load my shirt, and print. If I want more than one, I just do the same thing. I print that same design again, pick any design in the menu, and you can print it on the spot. That is a huge time saver between walking back and forth between your computer, loading individual files, and printing them over and over again. A significant advantage over any direct-to-garment printer on the market, and really sets the DTG G4 apart. The next thing I want to talk about is the Cartridge Ink System with the G4, which is significantly different than bulk inks on the M2. All right, so let's take a look at how the G4 delivers its pigment-based ink. Now remember, these are Kodak Kodacolor inks. So there's no better manufacturer of things that make images beautiful. So that's why we partnered with Kodak to develop these. Now you'll see there are two white, there's a black, cyan, magenta, and yellow, and these are cartridge based. I'm just going to pull one out so you can see it. So what you get is a few things. If you'll notice, this is a sealed cartridge, and the bags of ink inside are devoid of oxygen, so they've been degassed. That means that no air can get into the ink, and it cuts down on impurities. That improves maintenance. And while you can't see on the inside, the ink itself is actually specifically designed for the heads that we use to print in the G4. So it helps reduce maintenance on the system as well. So the other thing about the ink sets are when they are in cartridges, they're much easier to transport, they're easier to store and stack. So just imagine you're a busy shop and you have boxes full of these on the shelf waiting to deliver great graphics to a blank t-shirt. Welcome to the back of the DTG M2. You're looking at the ink delivery system. Now the M2 uses a bulk ink. That means you get bottles of liquid ink. And you can see the tubes coming out, and they go into the print heads inside the machine. There's positive pressure, so this all gets pumped into the print heads of the M2. The larger bottle is the white ink, and it has a special white ink management system that actually agitates that ink to keep it, I don't want to say fresh, but in white ink there are some metals in it that kind of settle down to the bottom of it that gives it the bright white color. So you need to agitate it on a regular basis. The M2 does that with a paddle inside the white ink. It's all very sophisticated and it works well. And because you are delivering this ink in bottles, this is what makes it less expensive than the ink on the G4 and other cartridge-based systems. Okay, I've got to be honest with you, you really cannot make a bad choice. Picking the DTG M2 has some great advantages. It's very low cost per print. You can print bigger shirts. You can print 2 designs at once. All kinds of advantages to the M2. The brand new G4 is also just an incredible technological advancement. With the vacuum Platen especially, the low maintenance compared to any other printer in the industry, the control panel, the ability to operate it, PC free if you want to go on the road, reproduce designs anywhere not connected to a RIP software. They're both great printers. What you should do is talk to a salesperson, talk to one of our account managers about the differences between the two and how one or the other might be best for your business.